Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today because we have some very exciting General Hospital news to talk about, and it's definitely worth the wait. Oh, let me tell you something, folks. I've been hooked on General Hospital for more years than I can count on both hands, and I swear this week's episodes on ABC just about knocked the wind right out of me. I was right there in my favorite old recliner, the one with the worn out cushions from all those evenings spent watching, nursing a tall glass of sweet tea, just like my mama used to make back home in Texas. The sun was dipping low outside my window, and I had the TV turned up a little louder than usual because my hearing ain't what it used to be. But I wouldn't have missed this for anything. Jordan Ashford and Curtis Ashford, those two have been through more storms than a fishing boat in the Gulf. And this latest twist had me leaning forward, heart pounding like it was my own family caught up in the mess. You know, Jordan has always struck me as one of the strongest women on that show. She's got that quiet fire in her eyes, the kind that comes from years of real-life battles. But this time around, after that awful wreck out on Route 91, she looked plain scared, and it tugged at my heartstrings in a way I haven't felt in a long while. I sat there thinking about my own wife, God rest her soul, and how she'd get that same worried look when life threw us a curveball we didn't see coming. Jordan was behind the wheel that day, doing everything she could to keep them both safe. She swerved hard to miss another car that came flying out of nowhere, and bam, she slammed right into that guardrail on the driver's side. Most of the damage was focused right where she was sitting, and both she and Curtis got thrown around something fierce. Jordan took the worst of it, with bruises blooming all over her face and pain shooting through her body every single time she tried to move. I could almost feel that hurt myself, watching her wince on screen. The car started smoking, then the flames kicked up, and those doors jammed tighter than a rusted old barn lock. If Valentine Cassadine hadn't shown up right at that very moment to help Curtis pull her free, well, I don't even want to think about what might have happened. They could have been lost in that fire, just like that, and the thought still gives me chills every time I replay it in my head. But here's the part that really had Jordan lying awake at night, replaying every second in her mind while she was still hurting so bad. She kept insisting she never hit anything that could have punctured the gas tank. No big thump, no jolt high enough to cause a leak. She remembers the swerve, the crash into the rail, but nothing else. And if you've ever been in a wreck like that on the highway, you know your body would register it clear as day. Plus, even with all the damage before the explosion, those tires were still in good shape, not a mark on them that would explain a thing. She kept wondering out loud in her own quiet way if there was more to it, and I was right there with her, shaking my head at the TV. It just didn't sit right. Something felt off, like the hand of fate, or maybe something darker had stepped in and twisted the whole story. Meanwhile, poor Curtis was putting together his own picture, and bless his heart, he was headed straight down the wrong path. He got that call from Dante with the news from the forensics folks. They'd scraped some paint off the guardrail, and it matched a black car made over in Germany. Curtis hung up the phone, muttered to himself real low. Isaiah Gannon drives a black SUV, and you could see the fire building in his eyes. He was convinced Isaiah had tried to kill them both, and he was already turning over ideas in his head about how to set things right, how to protect his family the only way he knew how. I felt for the man. I really did. Curtis has been through enough in his life without adding another enemy to the list, but Isaiah, that boy's innocent as a lamb in all this. Watching Curtis build up that misunderstanding made my stomach twist up tight because I've seen good folks in my own town go after the wrong person before, and it never ends without somebody getting hurt worse than they already were. That's when Jordan knew she couldn't keep carrying the weight all by herself anymore. She was still lying there in pain, face swollen and body aching from the crash, but her mind was racing ahead to something even bigger. She started wondering if that explosion wasn't just bad luck on the highway, maybe it was tied to something else entirely. She thought back to her last conversation with Jen Sidwell, how he hadn't been happy with the way things were going. On the surface, she was supposed to be working for his so-called legitimate businesses, but the truth ran a whole lot deeper than that. After she stepped down as deputy mayor of Port Charles, Jordan had quietly started her own undercover mission to bring Sidwell down once and for all. She drew on every bit of experience from her DEA days, working alongside old friends like Marcus Taggart and others who knew the game inside and out. She'd even sat down with Mayor Laura Collins before quitting her city job and laid the whole plan out, telling Laura straight from the heart that she wanted to see real justice done and put that man behind bars where he belonged. She'd been playing this dangerous game all alone, pretending to be on Sidwell's side while gathering everything she needed to stop him cold. After making double sure nobody else was around to overhear a single word, Jordan finally sat Curtis down and let it all pour out. She told him how scared she really was, scared clean, through to the bone. Her voice was shaky, but she didn't hold back. She admitted she was terrified her cover might be blown and that Sidwell could have ordered someone to sabotage the car. But it wasn't just her own safety that had her hands trembling. What really tore her up inside was how much this whole situation felt like their painful past rising up again like an old ghost. Back when she was police commissioner, Cyrus Renault had blackmailed her something awful, holding their son TJ hostage with his people. She'd had to keep so many secrets then, and it nearly tore their marriage apart at the seams. Jordan was sick with worry that Curtis would look at this new secret the same way. Just another lie. Another way she'd let him down. She knows he used to be a private investigator himself, so he understands the shadowy world of secrets better than most folks. But she was still afraid he'd pull away again, shut down like he did before, and leave her standing there feeling more alone than ever. More than anything else, though, she was heartsick thinking that everyone she loves could become targets now. Curtis, TJ, all the people who mean the world to her, and that it would be her fault for starting this fight against Sidwell in the first place. She was lying there bruised and hurting, wondering if the explosion was his doing, and still she found the courage to tell Curtis every single detail. I was sitting in my chair, almost holding my breath, thinking, come on, darling, you've carried this burden long enough, lay it all on the table now. Because love and family ain't some fairy tale thing. They're messy and hard, especially when secrets stack up higher than a haystack in the middle of July. I've seen marriages in my own neighborhood bend and sometimes break under that kind of pressure, and it always hurts to watch good people struggle through it. You know, that's exactly why I keep coming back to General Hospital week after week, year after year. It ain't just flashy drama thrown in for ratings. It's about the real fears we all carry around in our quiet moments, protecting the folks you love more than life itself, worrying that one choice you made might come back and hurt them, and hoping against hope that the person who matters most will finally understand and stand right beside you instead of turning away. Jordan's been so brave taking on this mission all by herself with nothing but her years of experience and that deep down sense of right and wrong to guide her. But now she needs Curtis to hear her with his heart, not just through the old hurts they've shared. These two have walked through fire together more times than I can count, and somehow they've always found their way back to each other. I sure hope this time is no different. I'm rooting for them like they're my own neighbors down the street. Man, what a week in Port Charles. My old heart was still racing long after the credits rolled. I turned off the TV, finished my sweet tea, and just sat there a minute thinking about how these stories mirror the ups and downs we all face in real life. If you've been watching the same episodes, I bet your heart was pounding right along with mine. Stories like this remind us that even the strongest among us get scared sometimes, and that's all right. It's how we face that fear, especially with the ones we love, that really counts in the end. Whew! I'll be right here in my chair next time, ready for whatever comes next. God bless those folks in Port Charles for keeping us company all these years. They sure know how to make an old man care. What a ride it's been, my friends. What a ride indeed.